Hello everybody, AJ Ryzik here, and today we are taking a look at how to make videos. This has probably been the most requested subject that I have had in the past few weeks, how I make my videos. Originally today I was going to be reviewing the distribution called Chakra. But I have had all kinds of problems with this distro, and at least for the time being, that project has been put on hold. So, today we're going to look at how I make my videos. And I figured probably the place to start was with hardware. And let me drag the Google Chrome over here. Now, I pulled up on Amazon some of the stuff that I have. Obviously, you don't necessarily have to use what I use, but I've had people that well, what do you use for this, what do you use for that. This way you can see what I'm using, whether you want to use the same thing or not. That's all up to you, but because to be quite frank, I most of the hardware I'm using here is not high-end stuff. There's a lot better stuff out there. I try to search for best bang for the buck kind of stuff. Anyway, first thing got right here is the webcam that I am using, and I have had this guy for years. Logitech C525. It's a 720p webcam, and I've considered upgrading to a 1080p webcam, but I mean, for this little cube down here in the corner, upgrading the webcam isn't going to improve the quality of my videos any. So it's kind of been one of those things where, yeah, it's nice, it'd be nice to have, but why go and spend more money on something that I don't really need? And this does the job does fine. It works with just every Linux distro out there. Drivers are embedded in the kernel, so no problem running this thing. And then the headset that I use is the Logitech H390, and I've tried several mics over the years as I've been doing these podcasts and videos and whatnot, and to me this has been the best solution. There's probably other solutions out there that would work just as good or maybe even better, but this is what's worked for me. And the big thing for me has been that this is a noise canceling mic. For a while I tried using the Snowball mic, which gives you excellent audio quality. The problem is there's no real sound canceling in it. It's got a couple of different modes, but it really doesn't cancel out the background noise like this headset does. I had a cheaper pair of or a cheaper headset earlier on, and rather than being USB, it used the regular mic jack. The quality on that thing stunk. There is a microphone embedded in this webcam right here, and I've used that a few times back in the early days, and it doesn't do bad. It's actually a fairly decent audio quality. And a couple of times when I have had like my son's on for doing some of the gaming videos, I've gone to that just so that we've got a mic that's recording both of us at the same time. Once again, it goes back to the there's no noise canceling thing. And depending on where you're recording from, that may or may not be a big deal. In my case, this house has 6 kids in it and 3 dogs, and even though I try to record when none of the kids are here, I still have the noise from the dogs, and you know, even if I put them in the backyard, the noise, at least in the background, will get into this office when they bark, and they all three of them really like to bark. And like today, I have had to restart this video a couple of times. Finally, I got ticked off and took the dogs outside because our neighbors have decided that they're going to recoat their driveway for the third time in the past 2 years. And you know, the dogs love to bark watching all of the work crews over there on their driveway. Anyway, so you know, I don't have a real good quiet place to record. If I did, probably I would still be using that snowball mic because, like I said, real good audio quality. You know, my wife and I had this dream of, in a couple of years, building a new home, and if that dream ever does arrive, the home office will probably have like 3 or 4 layers of drywall and soundproofing, so it's nice and quiet inside of there, and I can do these video and audio casts and have you know, no issues with ambient noise. But until that day arrives, the noise canceling headset is what I'm going to have to stick with. So that's that. Let me drag that out of the way. Next, the other thing that you know, kind of wanted to talk on as far from a hardware standpoint is lighting. You need to make, if you're going to record and you know, use the webcam to record yourself at the same time, you're going to need to have some good lighting. But you don't have to spend a ton of money on it. What I have done, of course, I have the overhead light here in the home office. Not too bad. Problem is, since I like to wear the baseball cap, I would always get a lot of shadows on my face. So to cancel that out, let me go drag this over because I took a couple of pictures here. You ever notice you can't find the picture that you want when you need to? There it is. So anyway, I've got, you know, these cheap clamp-on lights. I think it was $8-10 at Walmart. I've got a pair of them, and then I made these simple little stands like this out of some scrap lumber that was in the garage. And then this sitting right here is a cheap vinyl shower cap, which I use as a diffuser, and it works great. It cancels most of the shadows out on the face. And you know, once again, I've got, you know, I'm using just this little tiny cube down in the bottom of the screen, so I'm not real concerned with the best video quality on screenshots of me. I'm more concerned with you know, what's going on in the actual desktop. But this was a fairly cheap fix for some of that kind of stuff. You know, some of the YouTubers out there do the whole green screen thing. Personally, one, I don't have the room for it in my home office. You know, the back wall behind me is, I think the whole room is only 8 feet deep, so I really don't have the room for setting up a green screen in here. Plus, if you're not familiar with it, you know, it takes up a lot of space, a lot of time, and you know, you don't. It's not real equipment intensive. There would be some stuff that I have to buy, a lot more lighting, and once again, to me, the focus really needs to be on the desktop and not on me. Now, it is a cool feature, you know, because basically it would take the shots of me out of the little box right here, and you just have me superimposed down here in the corner of the desktop. But once again, it's a lot more work to go and integrate that into the videos, and my time is at a premium as it is. So, you know, at least for the time being, Alex is saying no to the green screen. The other piece of hardware that's kind of essential for doing the video recording that I do is the 1080p monitor. Now I actually use dual monitors for my main desktop. The one that I am using to record on is a, let me read it here, HP Compact L2105TM. And it's actually the smaller of my monitors. The other monitor that I have is an NEC, what is it? I can't, I don't have the model number, but it's a much larger monitor. It's the one that I use as my main monitor when I'm actually doing work other than video recording. And I like that one because rather than being the standard 1920 by 1080, it is 1920 by 1200. So it gives me some extra height on the monitor for when I'm doing my writing. You know, I can have the documents can be you know, I've got more working space there. It's you get to see, like, if you've got two documents open side by side, you actually get to see more of the document in the monitor. Unfortunately, what would happen if I use that as my main recording monitor is that you'd end up on the left and the right hand sides, you'd end up having, you know, black spaces where the where YouTube goes and formats it for their format. So, you know, might as well stick with the you know, smaller monitor, even though I use the other one as my main monitor. But really, you know, for as long as you've got a 1080p monitor, it really, what model it is isn't going to matter. Of course, if you want to go and do your video recording in 720p or, you know, a different format, long story short, the software that I'm using, it's going to output output whatever your screen format is. And speaking of software, let's move on to that next. The little screenshot you see of me, or the video recording of me down here in the corner, it is going on at the same time as you know, as I'm recording the main desktop. All it's doing is it's showing an output of the webcam. Now, right now, since I'm using Ubuntu, I'm using Gnome. Probably my favorite of the webcam software is GUVC Video. It allows you lots of options as far as tweaking. You can play around with the brightness, contrast, all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, the kernel that is in Ubuntu 14.04 doesn't play nice with GUVC Video, so that is why I'm running Gnome right now. Personally, I'd rather use GUVC Video, but you got to work with what you got sometimes. And you know, once again, since it's only the little screenshot down in the corner, not that big of a deal. The other thing that I use now for the actual desktop recording, I use Simple Screen Recorder. You know, here it is running right here. And let me go. And what I did, since I can't show you all of the screens for that, what I did is I did a couple of screenshots. And let me go and pull it up just so you can see how to set this thing up and my settings and all that kind of stuff. Let me find the right shot here. Alright, there's the opening screen to Simple Screen Recorder. And then you can, oh, let's see, is that the right one? Yeah, that's the first. Okay. You can set profiles so that maybe if you got multi-monitor, sometimes you do one screen, sometimes you do the other. There's a variety of different settings. You can save profiles. Now, Simple Screen Recorder will by default go to whatever your last settings were. So since I use the same settings on every video I record, I don't worry about the profiles. So hey, the way that I've got it set up, and you can see here in the options, you can record an entire screen, record a fixed rectangle, follow the cursor, record OpenGL. I do record the entire screen, and then over here on this side, if you've got multiple monitors, you can select whether you want it to record both monitors, or if you're going to do just one monitor, which one of the monitors you want to use. And then you got some settings here for frame rate. I leave it set at the default 30. I don't scale the video. I set it so it'll record the cursor. And then for the audio input, I use Pulse Audio for the back end, and then you'll select whatever source you want to use. In my case, I'm using the Logitech USB headset. But it will, Simple Screen Recorder will automatically detect all of the all the microphones or audio devices that you may have attached to your system. So there's no, going in, oh, I have to configure so that it'll work with, so and so headset or whatever. It's all done for you. All right, next screen. You've got a save as, so you can save how you want to save your file. There's a variety of different containers that you can use. You can use MP4. I use the MKV format. And then same thing with codecs. You'll have a variety of different codexes that you can use. I always do the H.264, mainly because that's what YouTube's going to want. Constant rate factor, I usually set this down to around 10 or 11 and leave the preset at super fast, and I allow frame skipping. Audio, I leave this as default also, which they have set as Vorbis and at 128 bit rate. And then your final screen, you'll have a start and stop recording button up at the top. You've got to save the recording and cancel recording. You can also, if you click on this start preview right here, it'll do a preview of what it's recording. I don't use that because it requires a lot more CPU, and to me it's kind of, I don't need to see what's being recorded as it's being recorded. I just, I don't see any point in it. But it's there if you want to use it, and then you've got some settings there for setting up hotkeys and that sort of thing. As far as the actual recording goes, I try not to do, in fact, there's no try in it. I absolutely do not do the entire video in one clip. Do multiple clips, multiple scenes, and then I will go into Kdenlive and put them all together. And there's a couple reasons for that, but the biggest one is that if you've got a mistake, and you want to re-record, I would rather go back and just re-record one small section than have to redo the entire video. Just like in this particular video, the first section, I probably re-recorded that about 5 different times. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. I know some of the YouTubers out there, they leave every mistake and all that kind of stuff in their videos, and then they leave YouTube notes posted all over the place. Oh, I did this wrong, I did that wrong. And it's one thing if you find that stuff, you get it up on YouTube, and then it's like, oh my God, I can't believe that I did, or I said such and such. Hey, that happens. But at the same time, if you're recording the video and there's a mistake there, One, you don't want to leave it in, and two, like I said, I don't want to re-record the entire video just so I can fix one little mistake. So that's part of the reason why I do the clips. And then also, it also gives you a break. You know, you get done with a certain section, you can stop, you can grab your coffee cup and get a drink before you get cotton mouth and you know, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, after I've got all my video clips and the actual recording is done, it comes down to time to do the editing. And I use Kdenlive for my video editing. Let me go and pull that open here. And I'm going to get this out of the way just because it's going to be a pain in the butt with trying to show you how I do one of these editing jobs here. All right, so the way I've got Kdenlive set up, and this is basically the default setup, other than, you know, like you just saw, I drag this bottom section down so that I get a bigger. This is right here is I guess you can consider it a preview container. I drag this down so that I get a little more space there. And actually, this is one of the things that I do on my other monitor. On my other monitor, because of the extra height, when I drag this down, this preview section expands all the way out here. So you know, I can get a bigger preview. So anyway, we're going to start a new file, and you can either, for putting this little section right here is where you put your clips that you're going to use. Now you can either go and do this use this little plus button right here, or come up here to where is it? Under project, you can do add clip from right there. To me, I think it's just easier to drag and drop from whatever your file manager is. So let's go and let me open this up a little bit bigger. So in my main video file, I've got a file folder that I've labeled video cuts, or YouTube cuts, and that's where, and what I'll do is I'll have a new folder for each project that I start. Now I routinely clean this out after a video has been up on YouTube for you know, say a week or so, or at least a week or so. You know, some of this has been a little while longer, but now I keep my final product. I've got every video that I have ever done, I've got the final product of, but these raw clips, I only keep them for, you know, a certain amount of time. Otherwise, you know, I'd really fill up this hard drive. But anyway, so I make a new folder for each project. Like the one that I'm recording right now is this one that says video project. But let's go back to you know, say when I did my Manjaro KDE review, and all these clips are the clips that I took when I was recording the video. Just drag those over and let those fill up. And then if we go back to my Kdenlive file folder, I've created a file folder in here that says intro and ending credits, and I can drag over the intro and ending that I've created. And let me close those, get those out of the way. And so now that all my clips have been imported into Kdenlive, I can go and start arranging them the way that I want down on, I don't know if you want to call this a storyboard or timeline or whatever, but you start dragging the stuff down here. So there's my intro, or I'm sorry, I pulled the close down, so let's get rid of that. Just hit the delete button. Let's drag the intro down, put it in its place, and then here's the first clip. Drag that down, and I want to give it a little bit of overlap, and you'll see why in a second. Give it just a little bit of overlap, and then if you come up to the corner where the two of them, the two clips kind of meet, you'll see it start to blink. If you click that, it will create a little transition for you right there, which by default will be a dissolve. Now there's a variety of different transitions that Kdenlive is capable of creating. If you click down, you can see it lists some of the different ones. I'm perfectly fine with the dissolve. It just basically dissolves one clip into the other, and that's fine. And then so now I can go and take a look at do a little preview of what I got so far on the preview section here. And so that's basically what you got. And so then you can drag on down and view any section of this particular video clip. You want to watch the whole thing through to look for mistakes, that sort of thing, go right ahead. Now typically on my videos, when I'm doing the recording, I leave a little bit of extra, I guess you could call it dead space, at the beginning and at the end. One, so that I can make that transition and kind of make it a smooth transition from one clip to the other. And then also that kind of gives me time to, I'll kind of stare at the camera for a minute or so, and then after I have done that, I can go over and watch, find the pause button, pause it, save it, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, if you want to go and then cut your clips, they're too long. If you bring this little bar right here down to wherever you want to cut the clip at, and then right click, go to cut clip, and select which side you want, or which clip you want to get rid of, and then just hit the delete button and it'll delete that section. Let me go and undo that. Now let's say, for example, you've got a clip and you've got to insert something in the middle. You can do that by going and, let's say we cut it there, and then maybe we got to cut a section out, for example. So you can go and cut the clip and delete, and you can either butt these sections together like so, or you can do a transition like I did earlier. And there's tons and tons of things that Kdenlive is capable of doing that I don't have a need to do in my videos. So it's kind of a moot point at that. So I really couldn't show you everything that you can do with Kdenlive, everything that Kdenlive is capable of doing in this video. Otherwise we'd be here forever. But this kind of gives you an idea of how I do the videos. So anyway, I'll go through putting all the clips together, doing the cuts and whatnot, and say after I get all of these clips put together, I get to the end, I put my video closing on the end. Obviously I'm paying a little more attention to putting it together when I'm doing the real thing rather than this demo. But anyway, so I get everything put together, and I do a save up here so I can save this file, and I have a file right here for unrendered videos, and we'll just call this test for right now, and we save it, and then I'll go and render the video. And for uploading to YouTube, I do this MP4 with H.264 / AAC high profile codecs. I leave the scanning set to auto. I don't fool with the audio and video bit rates, just leave them the same. Encoder threads, this is something you want to pay attention to. because by default it will just use one thread, which means that it's only going to use one thread on of your CPU. So if you've got a quad core processor, 75% of your processor will not be used. Now, even though I've got a quad core processor, I typically set it at 3 cores so that I can do other things on the computer while this is rendering. Now, if I'm setting this up to, sometimes I'll get done doing the editing on a video. I get to, and it's at the end of the night, and I'm going to let it render overnight. I'll set it at 4 cores. It doesn't matter. I'm in no rush and not going to take a look at it until the following day, and not going to play with the computer. But if you set this for 4 cores and you've got a quad core processor, you're going to have a hard time doing anything else on the computer while this renders. So the other kind of thing to remember along with this, the fewer threads, the longer it's going to take. So if you maybe the way I've got this set up now, it'll take 20 minutes to render the video. If I go back to one thread, it might be an hour. So just something to think about. Anyway, you can set your destination, what you want your output file to be. I've made myself a completed YouTube video folder, and as you see, that, like I said, I've got a copy of every video I've ever made in that folder. So you'd pick, name your we'll go to that folder. Let me try that again. Anyway, you go to that folder and name the file, and then just come down here and I'll hit render to file and let it run its course. And as far as actually creating the video to upload, that's all there is to it. Now let me go and I will close out of all of this. And if you've never uploaded to YouTube, I'll kind of give you a little idea of what you see. Alright, here we are at YouTube, and if you come up to the top of your YouTube screen and click your little icon there, you want to go to what's called Creator Studio, and that brings you into your dashboard. And then from here you can select upload to upload your video, and then you'll just select your file to upload, and so it'll automatically generate a title for you based on whatever the file name is. But from that point, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. Create your video title, a description, and then do your tags. From a lot of what I have been reading from some of the YouTube experts, the tags are nice from the standpoint of when a video first goes up. When somebody's doing a search, that search will be based off of those tags. But after a video has been up for a certain amount of time, the searches will be based on what other viewers who have been watching that particular video have been watching. So from that standpoint, the tags are nice but not necessarily critical. So anyway, you got your upload going on, and then down here on the bottom of this little panel, see where it says custom thumbnail. You'll click that, and that's where I upload the thumbnails. And I had somebody ask, as far as uploading the thumbnails, is there a particular size that they're looking for? YouTube recommends what was it, I think 2 megabyte maximum size. And let me go and upload a different one here. What I have found is if I take a screenshot of my 1080p screen, and then after I go and add the text to it, and save that, do an export as a JPEG, do a 10% compression on it, that will come in just under that 2 megabyte size. So that's typically what I do. And then from that point, if you want to go and add a Google Plus message, you can do that. You can set this for, do you want it to be displayed to the public? Do you want it to be unlisted? Do you want it private? Or do you want to schedule when it goes live? You can add a message to G Plus viewers if you so desire, and then if you have playlists set up, you can go and add it to playlists. And that's essentially it to uploading the stuff to YouTube. Well, that about finishes this video up. I hope that you found it helpful. Please leave comments, questions, all that kind of stuff down below. As usual, I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. Give us a big old thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you on my next video cast. Thanks a lot.